What's up guys, Ivan here, and today we're gonna compare these two awesome premium DI boxes, the Caveman DI BP1 Compact and also the Noble DI Preamp. Before we begin, let me tell you that I have no affiliation with either company and this is not a sponsored video. They have not asked me to do it. The only reason why I'm doing this video is because you guys have asked me to do it. I've gotten so many messages about a comparison between these two DIs, so here is the video. We're gonna see and listen to 4 different samples between, different styles, fingerstyle, pick, slap, and I'm gonna be switching between the solo track, the solo DI track, and a mix. And then I'm gonna share with you my thoughts and what I notice as differences. So let's check out these samples. let's start by saying that both DIs sound great. And if you're looking into getting one of these, you're thinking about investing or getting a piece of gear that's, premium quality. So we have to really get down to the kind of nitty gritty to really be, to play it fair, because at this price point and at this level of units, if you don't compare it thoroughly, I think you might just, go and grab a $50 DI and then you're good to go. Because if you're looking into investing this, you really care about high quality signals and the nuances of the sound. So I hope that you listened to the tracks with either high quality studio monitors or high quality headphones, because it's nuances, but they do make or play a big role in terms of sound live and in the studio. Now, when you compare them side by side, the Noble Flat and the Caveman, the way you set it up to, depending on how much saturation you want to have using the gain control, I think it's easy to, like, on the very first second, go like, oh, the Caveman sounds thick and bright and really cool. But I've tried to really match the levels as close as I could, and I A/B'd and listened back and forth many times. And what I noticed is that, and it's really hard to describe, but to my ears, the Caveman sounds as if the bass tone was coming out like a straight punch, like really in the middle, the sound spectrum like coming out really down the middle, like in a punch, like very focused, direct tone. The Noble, on the other hand, sounds as if there was like a wall of sound really pushing against you. And this is something that I noticed when I was listening to my monitors here and A/Bing with my eyes closed and really paying attention. And whenever I switched back to the Caveman, the sound would kind of like shrink. And then when I go out to the Noble again, it felt like the sound was wider, and then the Caveman narrowed down again. So to my ears, I prefer the sound of the Noble, especially because you have the EQ that you can adjust and high-pass filter. So if it's a boomy stage, you can correct that. But that's not, or the sound is not the only selling point, I think, of these units, and it's something that to keep in mind. Features and functionality also play a major role in why people buy a unit. For example, just to give you a real world example, if I take the Caveman right here, right, and I place the Noble on top, you can see that the Caveman is just a little bit wider than the Noble, and height-wise, let me put it this way, of course, the Caveman is smaller, but that can make it or break it that you can place one of these units on your pedal board. And that's what happens to me, for example. The Caveman does not fit on my board here to my right with the quad Cortex. It ends up hanging out of the pedal board. The Noble, on the other hand, does fit. So to remedy that problem, I would have to get a longer or wider pedal board, but that does not fit anymore into my gigging Pelly case. So that would mean that I would have to invest in another Pelly case, which is like another $500. So using this would cost me the price of the DI plus the price of another gig and travel case. So that's something to consider. For example, maybe you have some pedals that you don't want to give up on, and one of these units might not fit on your board. Or maybe you're fine ditching all those pedals and just placing one of these DIs in there. In my case, my quad Cortex is my main source of tone, and I send the signal to front of house with a Noble. So I want to keep this on my board for that reason. Now, other than that, of course, you can power several pedals with the Noble, and the instrument out is also tube driven. So you have that tube sound going into your amp or into other pedals as well. You don't have the transformer in there, but still you have the tube sound going out of the 1/4 inch. Also, Another cool thing about Noble is, what I prefer at least, is how it feels to play through it. You get that tube response, it feels spongy, it feels smooth to play. When you play through the Caveman, it's a lot quicker, so that is not necessarily something negative, it's something that just I prefer. Of course, I know there are people that look for that snappy response, that quick attack. So in that case, for example, the Noble is definitely a great solution or a great way to get that response and the quickness of the sound. The Noble, it's more pillowy. It's hard to describe, but that's how it feels, at least. What's cool about the Caveman though is that you have a loop, and what's cool is you can power it up using a 12-volt pedal board power supply. So that saves you using another power cable, which, for example, in my case, I have to use. Using the Caveman can mean that you only need to connect one cable, which saves setup time, which makes, you know, transitions between bands and setup time a lot more efficient, which is really cool, I think. So those are things that are important to mention, because to me, the top 2 selling points of each unit are, for the Noble, the way it feels to play through it. I really like it. It's smooth. I feel like I can play better. I like the response of the strings. And the other thing is, like I mentioned, the depth and width of sound that you get out of it. It's like a wall of sound that is not muddy. It's always very defined, not boomy, but punchy always. For the Caveman, I really like the ins and outputs, and that is very pedalboard friendly. That includes also the power supply, and also how easy it is to get a great sound out of it. 2 knobs, gain and level, depending on how much saturation you want, adjust the gain or raise the gain or lower it, and that's it. You're gonna get a really good tone out of the unit right away. But I'm curious to know, which one did you like the most and why? So let me know in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with the content that's coming to the channel. As always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.